Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be talking about one of the, I feel, the most consistent decks that you can build out of the Hololive production Weiss Schwarz set. Okay, first of all, let's talk about why consistency is a very important thing in Weiss Schwarz. Because the game is the game is basically a clown fiesta, right? There's like so much random stuff going on. So anything you do that can mitigate the randomness, like if your deck works 70 to 80 out of 100 games, I think it's a good deck. So I think this is one of the most consistent decks you can build out of Hololive production, and it's gonna be the 8 gold bar build, Okayu and Miyo. Yep. So 8 gold bars. There's a bunch of things that can help that encourage you to play 8 gold bars in this set. We'll go into that. Put that aside. Okay, for level zeros, we are playing 4 of the Fubuki double. So on play, she gives a character 1500 power, and when she's sent to the waiting room from the stage, you can discard a card and look at up to the top 4 cards of your deck, and you can add a level 1 or higher card to your hand. So she just is a good card to filter through your deck, and on play, she gives them something power, so it's useful for getting rid of stuff. Even in the late game, you can just buff up your other characters and you can punch through. This deck, while the base power of this deck is actually quite low, there's a lot of buffs that can help you reverse opposing characters. Then for that, we play 4 of the Corone double. On play, you can look at the top. On play, you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and then you can rearrange them as however you like, and then put them back on top. And then at the start of your opponent's deck phase, you may move this card into an empty slot in your front row. So this is probably the best play if you have him going first, and it synergizes with some other cards in your deck, which we'll go into later. We play 4 of this level 0 Pekora. She gives all your Hololive characters plus 500 power, and when you play this card from your hand, you may put 1 card from your waiting room or waiting room from which is your graveyard underneath this card as a marker. And when this card is sent to the waiting room, during your turn, you may remove the marker and put it back into stage at rest. So this is a good combo card with another card later on, which you will see. We play 3 of the Matsuri Double R Brainstorm. It's a very powerful card. In turns where you don't need the Brainstorm, you just use the other ability to rest it to give a level 1 or higher character plus 1500 power, which is pretty insane. Play 1 Rusia, double R Brainstorm. So this is mostly for the free stock, and if you get it early on, it's not terrible. It's a Brainstorm, of course. So if this card is at the top of your clock, at the start of your attack phase, if you have 4 or more Hololive characters, you may reveal the top card of your deck. Then if it's a level 1 or above card, you may send it to your stock. So this is a very strong card. We play 1 Suisei Climax Stopper. When she attacks, she gives something 1k, and on a play, you may pay 1 and discard a Climax to add back a Climax from your waiting room to your hand. So it helps to, if you have the wrong Climax, this card will help you out. So that's the level 0 lineup. So for level 1s, of course, we are playing 4 of the Okayu level 1. This is one of the strongest level 1s in this set. When this card hand to stage, if you have other Hololive characters during this turn, this card gains plus 2000 power. So when you on the Climax, it's already 7000. Then with all the other random buffs, it can hit quite high. So don't underestimate this card. Also Climax Combo, when you attack and you have her specific gold bar in your Climax area, you may look at up to the top 3 cards of your deck and add 1 to your hand. So this is very strong, because you can add not just characters, you can add climaxes, you can add events. Not that we are playing any events in this deck, but this is a very strong card precisely because you can add events. There's a bunch of good events in the set, I just don't have the space to play them. Yeah, this card also conceals information from your opponent, because unlike other cards where you have to reveal what you take to your opponent, because you have to confirm that it's a character or whatever, this card, whatever you take, is not public information, so you get to have that small edge over there. We play 4 of this Rusia. So this Ruxia is the combo piece with the Pekora. On You can play this card without ignoring the color conditions, but it doesn't matter for this deck because this is a base green deck to begin with. So when you play this card from your hand to stage, you may send one of your other Hololive characters to the waiting room. If you do, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a Hololive character or the Hololive Gen 3 event, you may add that card to your hand. That's the combo with this. So with one Pekora, you can use 2 Ruxias. So one Pekora can be followed for 2 Ruxias, so this is just a straight plus. And also on attack, you may give one of your characters plus X power, where X is the number of your Hololive characters times 500. So there's a lot of random pump in this deck. Pump 1005, pump 1005, pump 2k, pump 1k. Yep, that's how you down most of things. Play one of this. This is a cost 0 clock bomb. So when this card is reversed, if the opposing character is cost 0, you may send the top card of your opponent's clock to the waiting room. If you do, you may send that character to clock, which is good because it ignores a lot of on reverse effects and on death effects. So, but that's not why we play this card. Why we play this card is the first text. When this card attacks during this turn, all your characters gain the following ability. When you discard a climax from your hand. When you character attacks and triggers a climax, you may pay the cost of discarding a climax from your hand. If you do, you may select one Hololive character in your waiting room and add it back to hand. So this allows you to turn all your gold bars into gates or doors, as I think what the Americans like to call it. In Singapore, we call it gates, but I think the official term is doors. Yeah, so allows you to turn all your bars into doors, in case you already have the bar that you want in your hand. So that's pretty good. We're only playing one copy of this because at level 2, we are playing 2 copies of this Okayu. This Okayu is level assist, so all the characters in front of it, so the 2 characters in front of it, will gain plus 500 power for each level that they have, and has the same text as this. When your character attacks and trigger checks a climax, you may discard a climax to salvage a character from your waiting room. Okay, then we play 2 of this Mio. We play this Mio because it combos with the same climax as the level 3 Mio, and it's just pretty free. So it allows you, it's just a straight +1, and it's kind of big actually. So you put this in front of the Okayu and it's like 11k. That's kind of tough for a lot of decks to deal with, especially if they don't have multiple early summon level 3s. For each of your Hololive characters, she gets 1000 power, and when you use when you put the Mio climax in your climax zone, you may put the top card of your deck into stock, and you may salvage the level 3 Mio from your waiting room to your hand. So it's just a straight +1, and she pays for her own stock costs. Okay, then after that we're playing one Suisei counter. When you use this card's counter ability, you may discard 2 cards. If you do, you select an opponent's character who is who has level higher than the player's level, and put it at the bottom of the deck. It's just a generic 2/5 counter, and it sometimes works as like a anti-damage counter because you get to not eat 3 damage from your opponent's early play summon. So that's not bad. Let's play 1. For level 3s, we play 3 Fubuki level 3 early play and 3 Suisei level 3 early play. The reason why I play 6 level 3 early plays is because that's what this deck wants to do. It wants to build up resources, it wants to build up stock, and then you you just use this to stay at level 2 forever. With this, like this Fubuki with this Okayu is like 12,000 power. It's rather tough for people to run over unless they go to level 3 themselves. So ideally you want your opponent to go to level 3 before you. So this is what helps you to do that. You just heal forever. Because this deck makes a lot of stock, makes a lot of hand, so there's very easy ways to pay for everything. If you want to, you can actually play this card, which I actually cut from the deck because it wasn't that impressive, but on play you can select up to 2 cards from your hand and put them into your stock. Yeah, so This helps you if you have excess hand. If your deck is very thin, you brainstorm and you hit 3 climaxes. You can play this and you have the stock to pay for one of the early play heals. So that's pretty nice. But I cut the card from the deck because it wasn't that impressive and I felt that it wasn't needed. But you could play it. You could run it over the Rusia. But I prefer having the flexibility of the brainstorm over this card. Then finally we play 1 Matsuri level 3. This is the standard stock wash. So on play you may pay 1. If you do, your opponent puts all cards from his stock into the waiting room, then puts the same number of cards from the top of his deck into stock. So this is for players who have compressed their deck into a deck state where they are very likely to cancel. You can screw that up for the low cost of 3 stock. Then finally for the finisher, we are playing 4 level 3 meals. So this card, on play you can heal 1, so you put the top card of your deck, part of your clock into your waiting room. Then when you have this climax in your climax area and you attack with her, you may pay 1 stock. If you do, you can look at top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Then you may send any number of them to the waiting room and to put the rest on top. Then for the rest of this turn, this card gets plus 2000 power. So it's not the best, it's not the most broken finisher, right? But it gets the job done. And most importantly, it's a gold bar for the purposes of this deck, because for the synergy with these 2 cards. And also it has a level 2 combo that pluses and refunds you the stock, and it's a very big card on its own. Yeah, so the reason why I think this deck is good despite the rather lackluster top end is that no matter how broken your top end is in this game, right, it doesn't really matter if you can't get there. Like, if you are losing the whole game up until level 3, you probably don't even have the hand to use your broken top end, or the stock to use your broken top end. So what this deck wants to do is to stall the game out. You want to stall the game out with your 6 level 3, 6 early play healers, and then when your opponent is gripping onto dear life, you use this to secure the kill on them. There's a lot of good synergies in this deck, like the Rusia can sacrifice the Fubuki to top 4 Scry, so that's a filter deck. And then you can pardon me, you can gain very big power, so you can rest this to give 1005, on play gives 1005, and then on attack she gives like 2000 plus this 7000, so you pump together it's like 12k. The level 1 can beat most level 3s without a set. So yeah, I think this is one of the most consistent decks that you can build in this with this set. Be interested to see what you guys build from the set. Do let me know. I'm always interested in seeing new lists, especially on like Japanese Twitter and stuff. So if you enjoyed this deck tech, you can leave a like, subscribe. I also have a link in the description where you can pick up some cards of your own. Yep, so check that out. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Yeah, we'll see you the next deck tech.